Middle Earth has been thrown into chaos, and the War of the Ring has made enemies become allies and allies become enemies. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Total War Rise of Mordor battle. Today we have the men of Gondor and Rohan teaming up, allied with the woodland elves, so they're going to be reinforcing in the center. Over on the other side of things, we do have the other Elven forces, the elves from Lindon and Rivendell have come out to play and hopefully get themselves stuck in and be named the ultimate elves of the battlefield. In the center, we have the Eastlings, a extremely strong faction bringing everything they have to bear today. Obviously, these units right here, the Warlords, are an insane shock infantry unit and really kind of buffs out their roster. And then finally, over on the far left-hand side, we do have the men of Dale, who have been corrupted. Rather than being destroyed by the Eastlings, they have decided to join them and see if they can find their wealth and riches in the plunder of this battlefield. Once again, we are fighting on the glorious map that you see so often because it is just a really good multiplayer map. You kind of have this open town in the center of the battlefield. Soldiers can move through all of these streets, and you see that happen quite often as players do try and reinforce their allies. It also does a nice way of like dividing up the battlefield as well, and you can already see that coming into play. Two of the forces are shifting over to the right hand side, and Gondor is being left to fend for themselves over on this left hand side. So yeah, you know, it's always really important, especially in these 3v3s, to see, you know, how the teaming does really go. You know, if one player does get segregated, do they get enveloped and destroyed? And it really means that like these flanks on the right hand side need to win a very effective battle. Right now though, we are seeing the red team really kind of staying back right now, not looking to overcommit, but just kind of holding this line, I guess almost avoiding the village for now. Throwing up some of their Noldrin horse archers though. These guys are actually on the horse archer variants. The elves do have access to a pretty disgusting horse archer unit that can just fire off extremely quickly and harass the enemy, and they're actually really good at melee combat as well. However, on the battlefield today, we do have Rohan, so you know, their cavalry is going to be throwing themselves forward. I mean, these Knights of the Mark are extremely scary and a unit that can basically test any cavalry in the game and push them to their limits. We also have Gondor over on the other side of the battlefield as well. You can see him just about off in the distance with the Knights of the Silver Swan. You know, they also have a very nice cavalry contingent. But again, so do the Eastlings. You know, the Eastlings have them Bane of the Steppe. Probably the only faction here that doesn't have great cavalry is going to be the Men of Dale. They do only, unfortunately, have these these pretty crappy scouts, and then also some merchantmen as well. I guess they also have the Dalian cavalry regiments, which, you know, is actually can do pretty decent. Right now, though, we're getting a pretty wild push up here. I don't really know exactly what the elves are doing, looking to really try and push themselves up, but the allies are in a very kind of strange situation right now. Dale have kind of formed a box here, like holding the line here, and yeah, the Eastlings are kind of acting as a reserve force right now, so it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, surely we can only assume that this is gonna happen. You know, we're gonna get forces coming around like there, and they're gonna completely envelop the elves. However, the elven archers are almost in range, so we'll be seeing and pulling back them bowstrings and unleashing a volley of, you know, 400 to 500 arrows very soon. Unfortunately, though, they were the ones getting hit first. Are these guys off fire at will? There you go. They're actually going to decide to pull back. What the hell? What archers are hitting them? Gondor bow militia? Surely. I mean, maybe they're just deciding to hold their ammunition back a little bit. That's the only thing I can assume that is happening right now, because there is no way the Gondor bow militia can outrange the elite elves who have trained their entire life, thousands of years, to be outranged by a unit of Gondor bow militia. Oh, it's probably from this side. Yeah, it's probably their elven kin actually shooting in and pushing them back. Some of the elves from the woodland realm here, firing off a few shots, just trying to kind of, I guess, push them back. And again, every elf they do take out is pretty valuable. You can also see as well the troop numbers. The elves have very few soldiers in their units, obviously, to represent that high quality that they do have. So only 60 elves in a unit over here in their more elite units. And then if you go over to a faction like Gondor, you'll see, you know, they have 105 in this unit. They have 128 in another. So they obviously represent kind of much more of the vast manpower pools that factions like Gondor do have compared to, say, the elves, as the factions do continue to move up. We also are seeing as well that Rohan have gone extremely extremely far right, bringing their entire army over him. The cavalry just scaring off the Vargar lances from the Easterlings right now. But yeah, right now this force is getting pretty much enveloped, and we'll have to see how that does develop. Okay, skipping ahead in the battle to when the armies are ready to clash, and it seems like Rohan are charging forward. They also have 5 units of the Woodland Realm Archers hammering in shots right now. I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to focus down. I think they're trying to focus down, yeah, the enemy missiles from Dale, the Vineland Yard Patrol. Taking some pretty hefty casualties right there as the Elves find their mark that little bit more effectively. We also have the Men of Rohan as well, just getting extremely close. Like, this is danger close right now to the Dalian formation as they push forward once more. Obviously just marching to battle, not looking to overexert themselves. Cavalry, I can only imagine, is ready to push around. And over on the other side, Gondor are going hard right now, seizing the gaps, pushing through these positions, and just putting so much pressure on the Elves, which is exactly the way to do it. You do not want the Elves to be able to utilize their arrows. And here we go, the first cavalry engagement clashing in. Almost though, but the Men of Gondor fall back, not wanting to overcommit to this fight. And a really nice move here, and honestly, there is a huge gap that can be exploited right down the middle here if they really need to. You know, just kind of push the cavalry all in one go, throw cavalry around the side here, and then just hammer an anvil into the back of the Elves, and they will crumble. The Elves do not have the numbers to really withstand that. Also, look at the field of bodies there from the Elven archers, just devastating the Men of Dale. And now we have the Men of Rohan fighting against the Men of Dale. Spear on spear combat. Nothing too crazy here, I would imagine. Though we do have a unit of the elite Vineland Guard holding firm. We also have the General as a Lake Town Guard. I don't know how much I like that, to be honest. The Lake Town Guard is just so vulnerable to missile fire, and you can see Rohan hammering it with everything they've got. And this General unit, the Lake Town Guard, is getting absolutely slaughtered. So, yeah, I would not recommend putting your General as a Lake Town Guard. Maybe I just didn't have enough money. But yeah, that was pretty dangerous. Over on this side of things as well, we do have a unit of the Noldrin horsemen getting surrounded as the Woodland Realm reinforced their allies of Gondor, and another Gondorian cavalry unit moving around the flank. Gondor have thrown everything they've got in against the Elven infantry. However, this Elven infantry will not go down easily, and they will hold this line and push back the enemy, at least from the frontal position. Eventually, they will get enveloped by just the sheer numbers of Gondor. And without reinforcements, I think this line may crumble, but they will make sure they take down as many of the enemy as they can. You can see they're doing exactly that. 40 kills on this unit of infantry. We have 62 on another, and their archers just volleying in, trying to take care of as much cavalry as possible. We even have the Eastlings with Loke Rim charging in to try and support this, but the cavalry is going to be able to get in here and do some serious damage. Obviously as well, once they clear up the Elven general, the Elven cavalry here, they'll then be able to obviously maneuver a lot more units elsewhere. Over on the main fight as well, we are now seeing the Hall Guardians pushing their way forward into the shipmen of Dale, with the Woodland Realm throwing in some more of their sword infantry over on this side, but they are being met by some of the Vineland Guards, so again, a pretty scary unit to be going up against. I'm surprised that there's been no major cavalry engagements. That's mainly because the Loke Rim from the Eastlings have really committed to this side and playing very defensive. I think also as well, yeah, the General must be gone for Dale as well, which is going to be pretty bad for them, as the archers make their way around into this big gap, trying to get some more shots in. I mean, ideally what these archers want to do is come around here and then just hammer this unit of shipmen, or hammer the Vineland Guard in the back with all the arrows. That's exactly what you want to try and do. Obviously, Dale and the Loke Rim are not going to let them happen, unless it's going to probably come out to try and stop them. However, obviously, these spearmen are going to go into intercept. But yeah, getting these bowmen to obviously just hit in the back is pretty big, and that's exactly what we will see. The cavalry has now finally broken for the Elves, and that's going to open up a large amount of horsemen just to come flying in. You can see them already making their way in on these Noldrin archers. However, the Elven infantry holding firm, able to rout 2 whole units of the Gondor infantry, and they're winning pretty much down this entire battle line, breaking Gondor. And that cavalry really needs to come in. We have a unit of the shipwright nobles here as well, gleaming in their moonlight. And it's really up to the cavalry to turn the tide of this Elven fight because their line is just holding so effectively. The Swan Knights looking for any position that they can make their way in. However, this entire time, the archers are just firing away, whittling down them units. And I'm surprised we're not seeing these archers being used, just as I said, to hammer these positions. But I guess they are being chased down by a lot of units. And obviously also taking out of this unit of halberds is also not a bad idea. However, the Elven archers are going to be running out of ammunition fairly soon. But then, you know, the great thing about the Elven archers is you then can just use them as a melee infantry. They do actually do pretty decent. Obviously, they are still pretty well equipped. And obviously, outflanking these halberds is probably the best way of dealing with them. Oh, a big engagement over on the right-hand side. But I love the way that the Eastlings have committed a lot of infantry to these fights. Oh, what general went down? Seems like the Gondor general. Oh my god, that Swan Knight unit got absolutely massacred. Oh my god, what happened to it? It was like full HP by the time we looked at it. It must have ran into like halberds or something. Yeah, it did by the looks of it. There's a lot of dead Swan Knights right here, so that must have been the cause, unfortunately, for Gondor. And I mean, the Elves have won this side, even with the support of the Woodland Realm. There's 3 units of Woodland Realm here and a lot of cavalry. The Elves have seemingly done a great job in just maneuvering around here to obviously envelop the Fountain Guard. But nice play indeed. I was not expecting the Elves to win against a fight like this, especially with the sheer cavalry advantage that they had. Over in the center as well, some of the Located Rim are now breaking through, getting onto these Elven archers as effectively as they can. Just trying to, not trying to kill the unit, but just trying to take out as many as they possibly can. Down this side as well, we are seeing them clashing in against the spearmen. And the cavalry for Rohan are just struggling as well. Yeah, I mean, the red team are playing this battle really well, honestly. Even with the huge gaps that could have been exploited, right now, at this point, they've done a great job. The Eastlings have been able to commit a large amount of their infantry to the cavalry fight. And even as Rohan has, some of the best cavalry in the game, if you're able to get a lot of infantry to reinforce your cavalry, you're always going to win these fights, regardless of how much better this Rohan cavalry is. And Rohan obviously don't have the best offensive melee infantry, so they're going to find themselves definitely in a spot of bother on that front line. Obviously, they rely so heavily on that infantry fight going, that cavalry fight going their way. We are also seeing the garrison of the Hornburg here as well. The men of Helm's Deep fighting in. Such a beautiful looking unit. I love the red. It always makes me want an army painter as well in Total War games. Just seeing how great the men of Rohan look in that red. It always makes me want an army painter so I could just change the color of any troop in the game. Yeah, because, again, most of Rohan's infantry are just all these, they're, very good spearmen, but they're spearmen at the end of the day, and they're not going to be having that punching power to break through the ranks. So if your cavalry don't win, then you're just in such a bad position. Because once your cavalry fail you, you have literally nothing left, and you are just Ian Beale running out of things to do. And, I mean, so far, this battle is not looking great. The left flank has now been completely wrapped up as the Elves just continue to clear up what remains of Gondor. This is actually the Woodland Realm, so I think Gondor have been fully broken now. And there are simply just a handful of stuck over units here from the Elves, and that obviously does mean as well that on this front line, more soldiers are being committed. However, the Elves are starting to break through slightly just because, so many of their Eastling soldiers have been shifted over on the other side. But yeah, I still can't believe there are 2 units of Lancers about to come smashing into the back of these guys. Luckily, the Hall Guardians are going to try and get their halberds back down, but it is a bit too late. That was a nice charge in there by the Lancers. They do need to pull out, though, before these halberds can get down and start slaughtering these horses. Indeed. I mean, that was a very good charge. Taking out, a sixth of the unit here is always pretty juicy. On the front line as well, we are seeing more of the Elves more of the Ship Guardians actually breaking. Or the Shipmen, breaking. A nice little cavalry charge here. Is this Theoden? No, this is Theodred. Yeah, Theodred himself charging in. Obviously, the crowned prince of Rohan. He met his untimely demise in the 2 towers. I think that was him right there going down, unfortunately. And the Archer Fire from the Loco Rim still able to really do a serious amount of damage. So right now, there is not much left. And it's only the Woodland Realm holding firm. But Bouncer Power Bar is still pretty even. A nice charge there off onto the Warlords of Ruin as more soldiers fall to their knees as they are slain by the Steel of Evil, the Viper's Poison. That'd actually make for a really cool unit as well. I'm not sure if Harad are going to have any like poison-esque units, but that would be pretty dope. Obviously their sigil, but being the serpent, kind of being very kind of desert vibey, that'd be awesome. This poor unit of Erling men-at-arms about to find themselves enveloped by some of the best shock infantry in the game, so they are not standing firm. But if we take a look at the overall battlefield, you can see, I mean, so far it is pretty even. I feel like the Reds have the advantage here. However, the Elves are known for their quality in battle and not breaking. I think the battle's going to really come down to what this cavalry does. At this point in the battle, this cavalry can make or break the engagement, and obviously, you know, making sure that you don't overcommit to these fights is also pretty good. Pool Guardians about to clash in against their Elven brethren. Fighting hard here as both sides hit in. Down further here, we do have the Shipwright Nobles. So again, an extremely, probably the best Elven unit that the Rivendell Elves have to bring to this battle, charging in. However, they are also fighting a spear infantry that can just hold the line for a long period of time. And it does seem like the Woodland Realm are going to be able to quite handily clear up this part of the battlefield, and that frees up so many more units. And the Elven Archers pushing around this right-hand side. When I say Elven Archers, I mean the Eastling Archers pushing around this side could really start to do some damage. And this cavalry is just circling, hitting into the back of the Lords of Lazarlan. And obviously also the spears as well. Just trying to force as many breaks as possible. Oh my god, there's actually a unit of Riders of Rohan still left alive though. This cavalry unit still being here is actually pretty big. If they can just, you know, they don't have to win this battle. They just need to like basically hamper the enemy cavalry. And I think that the Woodland Elves can actually do this one. Obviously they're being hit pretty hard, but you know, these are the Horse Lords. I'm going to try and pull out of that. That's not a good idea. I think just sticking them in and just trying to do as much damage as possible is the way to go. Because as you pull out, you're pretty likely to actually end up breaking. You're going to lose a lot of horses as you pull out of there. I would have just committed my horses here. Maybe try to get some more infantry over here if I could. And just kind of see how the battle does evolve from there. So right now we have a unit of spearmen fighting off with the Warlords of Ruin. And unfortunately, these spearmen are actually very close to breaking, which is not too good. Obviously, having them Dalian Spear Guard being thrown from the battlefield is going to leave your Warlords of Ruin extremely vulnerable. However, we do have another unit of reinforcing here, another unit of Warlords of Ruin. I mean, there's nothing here that I would be scared of if I was a unit of Warlords of Ruin. 153 kills on this unit is pretty crazy. Over on this side as well, it just all comes down to who can basically envelop who. And you can see the Hall Guardians coming in. Obviously, going to be trying to do as much damage as they can right there. Nice little archer volley. Like literally every kill does matter in a battle like this, but Bouncer Power is looking very much in favor of the Easterlings and the Lindon Elves. I don't think the Woodland Realm can clutch this one, as they do start to kind of like dwindle in numbers. Obviously having that cavalry advantage is huge. Just trying to break the enemy. I say that though, the Lords of Lasglen are still pretty healthy, and their morale is not breaking, even though they do have cavalry in their back, infantry on the front, and yet they're holding the line and fighting the good fight. But yeah, I think these Warlords of Ruin is going to be far too much for either side right now, able to, yeah, just surround the enemy, and they're just coming up against, you know, kind of inferior units, which, as you can see, 175 kills now, 200 kills on these units. They're just going to be kind of mopping up. I mean, obviously, we still have a pretty nice stand right here, but I just can't see them winning. Yeah, I just can't see them winning. The cavalry coming in, the Warlords. Obviously, these Hall Guardians, if the players are not as smart, these Hall Guardians can definitely claim victory. You know, they are very, very hard to kill. But there's still, you know, a handful of arrows left as well. I mean, as long as they can just get the envelopment on these guys, the battle should be won. You can see the Warlords of Ruin moving to the flanks right now. The archers just taking down as many of these elves as possible. And obviously getting that cavalry around as well, their 1 unit of cavalry. I mean, they charged it, which is actually not a bad idea. I think they were able to get in there before they could brace, but still need to be kind of careful. This unit is braced, and getting around that flank is going to be very important. Not getting caught up on the warlords is going to be huge. Allowing your archers to keep on firing. I mean, right now, this cavalry should just be moving around, hitting them in the back, and that would be GG, I think. Obviously, having the warlords as well, focusing as best as they can on that general unit. Obviously, breaking the general would see victory. Yeah, they need to use this cavalry very effectively. The morale could bring it back for them. Honestly, they could turn the tide of battle in favor. They just need to just break any unit they can right now. The arrow fire is good. I mean, if I was them as well, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe shoot some fire arrows. Just try anything they can. That cavalry, though, I think is going to seize the day. And even though the elves did get a nice little envelopment right there on the warlords of Rune, I just don't think it's going to be enough. But then again, who knows? I mean, that break was pretty big, and the Hall Guardians haven't broken yet. I mean, so far, it does seem like the Elves actually have the advantage, even with this cavalry coming in. Cavalry's broken now, and boom, there we have it. Wow, what a close battle. The Woodland Realm showing why the Elves are so potent in Rise of Mordor. Their strength, standing firm, and able to claim this victory. A Pyrrhic victory, but a victory nonetheless. It really did not look like they were going to claim that one, but yeah, just the sheer quality of having them units right towards the end was huge. And yeah, that definitely proved dividends for them. At the kills, again, you can see Gondor just kind of got swept away, unfortunately. The Elves were really holding that line. The Swan Knight's doing okay, but yeah, really struggling. The Woodland Realm was obviously the MVP, I would say, for this side, and you know, really caused them that victory. Tons of kills on their units. And we also had the Men of Rohan as well, who their front line held, and their cavalry just struggled because of the power of the Easterlings. Able to commit a large amount of their force to that fight was very nice indeed. And there are the other kills as well. So if you guys enjoyed this battle and you want to see more Rise of Mordor on the channel, let me know down below in the comments, and obviously by dropping a like down below. I really do appreciate it. You guys don't know how much it does actually help. And I'll see you guys in the next one.